Greetings to all of you here in the Beat Sessions. I'm your host, Mitchell Weary, and forgive me for my absence. It's very nice to be back in the studio with all of you, and I hope you had a lovely weekend. I had a hell of a time. Mine was full of work and play and people that I absolutely adore. Couldn't have asked for a better time, and it was soundtracked by this album quite a bit. Let's talk about The Cult and this new record, Under the Midnight Sun. It was released on October 7th. This is the band's 11th studio album and their follow-up to 2016's Hidden City, a record that was the final installment of a trilogy that the band spent about a decade working on. Started with 2007's Born Into This, and then 2012's Choice of Weapon, which is probably my favorite of the three records, but a pretty solid effort overall. If I had a criticism, I would say that, each of the albums artistically, I feel like sometimes you lose sight of an individual effort when you're focusing on concept a lot. So what I dig about Under the Midnight Sun, this record is just, it exists on its own, and it's 8 phenomenal songs that are really capturing that energy that this band is so well known for. I'd argue that they're pretty underrated too. I know a lot of people that don't know who The Cult are, but such a signature sound, and it's a combination basically all of the sounds that I love in the 1980s and some influences from earlier on as well. I feel like there's definitely a big Jim Morrison psychedelic influence when it comes to Ian Astbury and his personality. I've always loved the mysticism surrounding him, his lyrical content, and his personality. I think he's absolutely fabulous. And Billy Duffy, longtime collaborator, he's at the helm there on guitar. And stylistically, what I've always loved about Billy is that he reminds me, again, a little bit of that classic rock element. You talk about the Doors, but more of like the Who to me. I feel like that, as far as his guitar playing and the riffs that he puts together, I hear Pete a lot in his sound. I also hear of, bands like AC/DC and ZZ Top. I love that. I love their combination of that element of rock and roll and combining it with post-punk and new wave. I mean, they really sound like AC/DC meets Susie Sue or Susie and the Banshees. Like, I dig that about these guys so much, and their ability to capture that spirit and that energy of all their genres within their sound. And this new record is a perfect example of them still having that magic touch after all of these years. It's really cool to see Ian and Billy still together. That really has always been the dynamic of this band, and it's and they're still killing it, still putting together great music. And I'd say that this effort is, versus the last three, as much as I like those, I'd say this is probably their best album in a decade. It's great to have them back after 6 years, and I'm pumped to talk about this thing. It opens up with Mirror, which is it's got this driving percussion and very solid riff to open. I love the acoustic riff. That's another element of their music that I really dig. I love that texture of the acoustic guitar that drives so much of their music. Reminds me a lot of Echo and the Bunnymen. And so, you talk about more of that post-punk influence. It's just another great element to their music that adds so much texture, so many different layers. I love the bass on that particular song as well to open. Guitar works into the verse. It's got this moody, ominous feel. And another band that it kind of reminded me of a little bit is U2. And I know that these guys have talked about, I think there's a funny comment. I think it's from Ian. He says that, yeah, we write music like U2, except we're better. I don't agree with that necessarily. I think that The Cult just has a fuller sound, where U2 is going for more minimalism. It's just two different, very, very different things that they're going for, in my opinion, despite the similarities that are there. A Cut Inside is your second track, another great riff to open. Love the percussion that's there as well. Just dancing on all the toms. The percussion to open this thing is great. The music builds. I love when it kicks in. The presence of the acoustic guitar, again, I just really digging that element of this record. And on that particular song, Vendetta X is your third track. Funky driving bass. I love this song. This might be my favorite track, one of two. But I love that bass. I love the thick tone that's there. There's a great little guitar riff that works around that bass, and I just enjoy the feel of this track overall. It comes at a great moment in that third spot. Give Me Mercy, your fourth track. Quick acoustic open, and then right to work. I like the way that the verse mellows as the instrumentation falls out. It's really a cool way, cool feature of the song. And then all that instrumentation starts to slowly build back in. I really just like the structure of this composition, and it is going to lead to another one of my favorites. Outer Heaven is between that and Vendetta X. I'm having a hard time, but I love the breezy acoustic and foreboding synths in this song. You get this thick bass that ushers in Ian's vocals. It's got galloping percussion that picks this thing up about 2 minutes in. Really pretty string arrangement on this song. It's phenomenal. And then this thing gets epic. It just really captures that mysticism, their essence so well. and certainly a solid argument for being the best song on this record. Knife Through Butterfly Heart is your 6th track. Interesting feel. I like the light synth on this song, mellow funky bass. It's a great component of this record. And you get this kind of like flamenco, this kind of like Spanish element in the guitar. It's really interesting. I love the presence of it though. Drums come in perfectly, and then this song, it takes on this like psychedelic proggy feel as it works towards the coda. Really nice structure, fun composition there. Impermanence is your 7th song. It just kicks right in with the drums, bass, signature post-punk tone, in all the instrumentation. I love the way that the bass takes over in the verse on this song, and then you're getting more of that ominous feel. And this is a band that Ian definitely tackles a lot of stuff. I think lyrically it's worth pulling up and reading along with him, seeing what he has to say. Sometimes I feel he can drift off and get a little esoteric, but I think that he's writing in a fashion that's much more direct. And given the climate, the atmosphere of the world right now, I think it's pretty cut and dry as far as what he's talking about, what he's alluding to. And he's a smart guy. He's very insightful, and I absolutely love what he's doing there on this record. With the lyrical element. Under the Midnight Sun, your title track, is going to close this thing out. Dope acoustic and string intro. I really like the way this song kicks off. Guitar is this is another example of like Spanish guitar working into their sound. It's got a bit of a desert rock feel as well, while the strings have this Eastern feel. It almost sounds like kind of like Japanese orchestration or maybe Korean orchestration a little bit, but this song is just all over the world. It is really a phenomenal closer, and I love all the different rich textures and layers. The strings for a moment dominate this song until the groove kicks in, and then this thing just it just has so much intrigue. It's so irresistible. This song, it almost kind of sounds like it could be a Bond song. It's got that type of vibe to it, but it's an excellent way to close out this record. These guys, they still have it. We're going to vinyl please this thing for sure. At 8 songs, 35 minutes, my only complaint is that I wish that there was more, but this is a really solid effort. If you hadn't had a chance to listen to this over the weekend, I definitely would check it out and give it a spin. Hope you enjoyed this record. Hope you find this review helpful as well. Please like this video, share it, subscribe, do all the things to help us blow this project up in 2022. Stay tuned throughout the week for more album reviews. We will see you next time on the Beat Sessions.